Yes, hang out there now, and I'll add you in a second. Listening to some Blade Runner. I see KnifeZoid is already on there, waiting for me to add him, and we'll do this interview. What's up, you guys? Got my little reflection out, got my sunglasses on. Yo, what's up, you guys? Damn right, I got Knives here with another DRIGK live. Third time's the charm. We're gonna do it. I see Lawrence is on here now, so yeah. Thank you guys for joining again. As you know, you can always find these on YouTube. Later on, after we do this, I leave it on my Instagram for a few days, then I eventually put it onto YouTube. But yeah, it's going to be cool here. I got my BRS collection out here because I'm very excited to have Lawrence on here this afternoon. Check out Blade Bay again. I'm going to say it one more time. Just check it out. If you don't like it, don't use it. But I think it's kind of something interesting that we've been doing. And yeah, and you guys have been helping a lot with it too. So, all right, let's get Lawrence on here and we'll get going. There
Hello.
he is.
Sorry about that.
Hey, it's okay, man. This, modern technology works for us, and I'm just going to adjust this here.
Sure.
Take off the shades. Awesome. There. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this, man. It's really
Oh yeah, absolutely.
really cool to have you on.
I got my backdrop too. I'm trying to get it in there. There we go.
Nice.
So
Are those like Brs Shoes or something?
yeah, I don't know if you saw them at Blade. I actually had these made. I designed them, and there's a company that we use that does like custom canvas shoes. So I made them just to wear at Blade, and then when I took them out, I was like, oh man, they're so cool that I don't even know if I want to dirty them up. And then my friend Jeremy, who some people know as White Star in the community, he was like, you got to wear it at least for Balisong. So I put them on, and they were like super comfortable. So I was like, oh, I guess I wore them now. But I had them. I only wore them once, so I just kind of display them on the shelf now. But it was a fun little project.
Wooden wrap or AB up there?
Yeah, made by Gus Lammers. He made he's the one who makes all the jumbo knives at the BRS booth every year. So he did that jumbo Alpha Beast, the replicant, and this year he did the bare bones. So he made this as a gift for me.
Awesome.
It's pretty awesome.
My guess is your house is like a treasure trove for flippers. You probably have a collection of some pretty cool stuff over the years.
You definitely have a lot more behind you than I do as far as
BRS stuff. I'm sure you just have it, old versions of things or something like that, or
there's
promo pieces here and there.
Some pieces for sure, but I think Ed Lucifer, he might have a few more. I have my channel AB is one of the first ones off the production line. I have a Dirty Dozen, but mine's not as cool as some. Actually, no, it's not a Dirty Dozen. I have one from the second run. So my mid-tech's not as cool as some people's. And I do have the first production prototype replicant. I don't have it here. I don't know where it is. I think I actually gave that for Gus to borrow to build the jumbo wood replicant. So he actually has that right now. And what else? But a lot of stuff, it's funny because at Blade Show, Ed will ship a lot of stuff to the show, right? And for me, because most of the stuff that comes from the factory will go to him, because he's the one who, and then a lot of the other stuff goes straight to like, you know, your Blade HQs and stuff like that. So I actually don't see them, not every model, until Blade Show sometimes. So people will show me at Blade Show, and that's actually the first time I've seen some of the stuff. But the stuff I do own is usually like first production or a prototype or something like that. Yeah, so it's cool like that.
And where do you live right now?
I'm in New Jersey. I'm right across the river from New York City in a place called it's Fort Lee. It's near the George Washington Bridge. So I'm like North Jersey. I used to live kind of near the shore in Central Jersey, but I've been in Jersey for a little over. Came here when I was like 16, and I grew up actually in Denver. So okay. I spent like half my life, or close to half of my life, in Denver, and then the rest in Jersey.
Okay, and is Ed out there too? You guys live in the same area?
He's not too far. He's in Maine. He's like an 8-hour drive.
Oh,
I've done that. Well, Maine is technically like 6 hours if you go to Portland, but he's in a place called Belfast. So that's another 2.5 hours northeast of Portland. The area he's in is a little bit more remote, but like a really beautiful coastal area.
Nice.
So not too far.
And so how old are you? You said half your life. Does that make you 32?
No, I misspoke. It's probably not half. I guess it's more. I spent more than half now in Jersey. I'm 42.
42.
So
once you get up here, it's hard to keep track. I get it.
No, I know.
Wait.
Yeah.
Long have you been doing this?
And after a certain while, it kind of doesn't matter anymore. Like when I think like my transition from my 20s to my 30s felt more significant than my 30s to my 40s, because, you know, and then after 40, it's just like, whatever. Yeah. You know, I actually forgot a couple times. I forgot it was my birthday until someone texted me happy birthday. That's how little I keep track of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first knife? Like from when you
tried to find it for this interview. I guess it wasn't my first knife, but it was like the first knife I got that made me knife crazy, and that was the SOG winder. And I still have it. I really wanted to have it for this interview. And you know, my house is like a bunch of knives and prototypes, and plus my own personal collection. So I don't know where I put it, but there was a SOG winder, the one made in Japan. And I remember I got it in Denver. My mom bought it for me, which I'm surprised she bought it for me. And I remember that unboxing experience till this day. Like I remember going to the store, buying the knife, like having it in the box, like the excitement of it, going home, taking it out of the box, just like being so amazed of how sharp it was. And like, I was like cutting things with it, and I was obsessed with that knife. I brought it everywhere. I remember bringing it to like, I don't even know, like random places my parents would take me, and like using it to try to pry open doors, just all kinds of crazy stuff. That was definitely
I had knife, other. Like what kind of pocket knife?
It was a little lockback actually, with a thumb stud with a rubber handle. Okay. I think it's probably discontinued now. They actually made it for quite a while, but it had a rubber handle. It had like almost like a dagger style, Weehawk style blade, and I was just like, that knife just made me like obsessed over cutlery. I owned a Spyderco back then, obviously Swiss Army knife. I had a little Gerber green knife. I still remember those, but that SOG winder is definitely the one that made me like want to get knife catalogs, magazines, and it's definitely what started my obsession with knives and cutlery.
So you went the route of pocket knives, then eventually got to Balisongs, and so you were already into that by then?
So I guess at that point I was probably I want to say I was like, from like the time I was 10, 11, all the way up into my teens, I was really into like mall ninja stuff, knives, nunchucks, all that stuff, right? Throwing stars. When I moved to Jersey, when was I guess that was like 98, or no, that was I graduated in 98, so I guess it was like 95, 96. I just, not that I lost interest, but I just didn't follow up with it anymore. You know, I kind of forgot, I guess. You know, life kind of took off, and it was whatever. And in 2006, when YouTube started becoming a thing, you know, I was just clicking around, and it was a Nut and Fancy review about the Spyderco Tenacious. And I don't know what it was, but I watched that review, and I was like, it just, all those emotions and feelings that I had with the Sog Winder, like they kind of came back, and it re-sparked my interest. And I bought that knife right away. I watched the video, and I was like, oh man, I remember Spyderco, and that looks like a really, and it was like $35, you know, it wasn't even an expensive knife. So I bought that, and that was the beginning of the end, right? I bought that one, and then I kept on like flicking it open. I was just obsessed with like opening it and closing it. I ended up buying like a bunch of other stuff, but it was that fidget factor of opening and closing it that I was so obsessed with, like just opening it in different ways, that when I saw the butterfly knife, I'm like, oh, that's like a knife you can open and close in an infinite amount of ways. Like this is, in terms of my obsession for opening and closing stuff, that's like, I'm like, that's it. I gotta have that.
I got into it, dude. I'm not joking. I was really, my pocket knife collection was, I was like, oh, I want to get every type of deployment and every type of closing mechanism.
Right. Yeah.
And I got really into like the different opening, and then found a Balisong, got into Balisong, you know?
That's what it was for me. I was like, I want the Spidey hole, I want the thumb stud, the flipper, you know, the access lock, button lock, autos. Yeah. I went through like every phase.
Too. Like the Spyderco was the first to put the hole in the blade and do a compression lock, and that blew my mind. I had the paramilitary too, and I was like, holy shit, this knife is awesome.
Right. Yeah, I had one of those too. Exactly. I had a paramilitary too. That's actually one of the first knives I lost. It might be somewhere in the house, but I haven't been able to find it. But
I still have one on me right now. Right now, I have a Spyderco paramilitary.
Ooh, nice.
Funny enough, I just realized it was on me, but this is the Tanto version. And
I had the same thing.
Funny enough,
just not the Tanto.
Daily carry right now.
Oh, it's a great daily carry. I really miss mine, actually. I don't know what happened to it. I actually don't. I have a pretty good track record of not losing knives, but that is one I think might be forever lost, because I haven't found it in like over 2 years. So, but great knife, really really good knife. But yeah, like I want to say my first butterfly knife was the Bradley. Was it I think it was a Kimara. I should know. I mean, there's a review from like 10, 12 years ago that I put on my YouTube channel. But that was the first one, and that was like a really bad first Balisong, because it was not because it was a bad knife. It was a great knife, a really high quality, crazy, but it was heavy, and it was insanely sharp. Like the worst thing you could possibly learn. I sliced the heck out of myself with that thing.
Totally.
And
funny enough, the Bradley Kimura was my first real live blade as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't.
For sure.
I didn't have a trainer.
He was like, fuck this thing. It's dangerous.
Yeah, no, it's a dangerous. I don't know what it is too. I think just because of the weight balance, it's like a really pointy, broad, heavy blade with like relatively. I don't want to call them light. Like the handles were heavy because they were steel, but just the way that it swung. Like when it cut you, it cut the shit out of you. It was so mean. It was a mean knife, and it was pointy. So I just remember anytime you dropped that knife, the tip would just always be down. I have like scars on the inside of my thighs because if I was flipping like while kneeling or sitting, it always went tip down first and would go right through my jeans, like no problem, and cut my legs. Like it was a really harsh knife to learn on for sure. But I didn't care. Like I had that knife, and shortly after I got on the flipping arena. I was in blade forums for a while, but they weren't like super Balisong. Not that they weren't friendly, but there wasn't a lot of like activity then. And back then, like butterfly knives were considered like kid stuff, or I don't know. I don't know. The knife community didn't even take it seriously. So the flipping arena was created, and I just got like insanely obsessed with that community. And then I started reviewing knives too. So I started buying everything pretty much that was made, and shortly after, people liked my review. So I actually had people send me stuff and review their customs and all that. That's actually how I got probably half the knives that I reviewed on my channel back in the day. And then yeah, long story short, I was like, man, what if they took this thing from this knife and this thing from that knife and combined it into this one super knife? And that's kind of how the Alpha Beast was born. It was like, it was my obsession with all my butterfly knives, and took a little bit of everything I liked from them and put it into one. And yeah.
And the Alpha Beast was the first one you made.
Alpha Beast was the first one we made, the mid-tech. And the funny thing about the channel AB is, my vision was that the Alpha Beast was to be channel. The problem though was it was really expensive to make that way, and at the time we just didn't have the resources to do that. So we made a sandwich. So when we finally pulled off the channel with Travis over there at Precision Plus, like it was really incredible, because it was kind of like, I don't know, I wouldn't call it like a rebirth of the Alpha Beast, but it was kind of the way that I always envisioned it, and the way that Travis got it down. Like he nailed it. Like when I saw this was the one he brought. I remember him coming to, I think it was Blade Show 20, I don't know, 18 or 7, I don't even remember now, right? But yeah, he came with the samples, and I that was the first time I saw it, and I was like, oh man, like he nailed it. Like this thing is exactly how I always wanted to envision the Alpha Beast to be.
All that time, the hard work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I know, like, you shouldn't pick favorites. I guess the correct answer would always be like, oh, I like them all. But I have to say, like, the channel Alpha Beast the Alpha Beast in general, because it was the first one that we made, but the channel Alpha Beast to me is like, it really brings me back to how I originally envisioned BRS's first knife. So that's why it kind of has a special place in my heart. Like I just love everything about it. I think it hits like all
the Alpha Beast was my first, what I consider real good Balisong. Was a gold AB, and I did a review on it, and I don't know if you remember, but you liked the review or commented like right on or something like that. And I was like, holy shit, that's it.
Yeah.
And I was like so stoked that if even one person saw it was you, because I said this in my post too, the Alpha Beast, Blade Runner BRS, I love the movie Blade Runner. We should talk about that for a second too, because was it named after Blade Runner is my question, but also, I love that movie so much. It's literally one of my favorite movies. I've seen it millions of times, and they made a new one, the 2049 one, which isn't bad too, but the original one was a huge influence as far as like one of my favorite movies. So when I saw that there was a knife called BRS, I was like, oh damn, what is that? Oh, it's too expensive. Oh, crazy. Well, I'd never buy a knife that expensive. At the time, I was like, and then sure enough, I had one before I knew it. Probably within that week, I was like ordering it, and never looked back, man. I've just been such a fan of the knives for the moment I got my first one, and now look at, I got all these knives and stuff. So But yeah, I really appreciated you liking it and all that. So was the name, tell us about the name, BRS.
Yes, it does originate from the movie. It was influenced by that. So we were trying to think of, me and Ed were trying to think of a name for the company, and we really couldn't get anything that stuck. But one thing that we've always had in common was we were huge fans of like sci-fi, Alien, Predator, Blade Runner, you know, Ridley Scott, James Cameron, Terminator, that stuff. He's really into comic books. I'm more into, I like comic books, but to be honest, I don't really read them, but I love following all the animated stuff and all the movies and stuff like that. So we're big time like nerds on all that stuff, right? So we were both fans of the movie Blade Runner, and we're like, oh man, Bladerunners Systems. It's like perfect. And like as soon as he said it, I remember he said that, and I was like, dude, that's it, BRS. You know, that like it was. Didn't even have to think about it. Yeah, that was it. And one of our original logo ideas was going to be something to do, you know, the owl. There's like, if you see, there's like this graphic owl that's associated with that movie. Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
We were going to incorporate that, but we were like, maybe that's like too close to the movie or copyright or whatever. The chevrons is actually from when you put the alphabets together and it forms the three. That's actually where the logo comes from, the chevrons. So
wait, explain
we
that
kind
again.
of stuck with that.
From what? From
so if on our logo is like the chevrons, the three chevrons going together, and so that's actually from this, like when the handles are together.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the BRS, as far as like the dashes and stuff, that was actually Ed's, he's into graffiti, and one of his tags had those dashes. So that's how we incorporated that into the actual BRS logo, the letters logo. That's how that came to be.
Translates well as like, I mean, that's a clever thing that I always like to see is, you know, like BRS has a real style of its own. It has that graffiti feel, but yet it has that sci-fi feel. And you take somebody like Squid Industries, they have their whole vibe, and it's just cool to see how knife makers use it as a form of expression as well, of how they're
that's really what it is. We kind of put all of our interests into the brand: comic books, graffiti, movies. You know, that's why like with some of the limited releases, we include like comic books, or we'll do like a graffiti style thing on the box. That's where all that comes from. It's just, you're right. It's like at the end of the day, it kind of becomes like a form of expression, and it's awesome because creativity, there's no limits. You can tie in whatever you want with the brand as long as you find a way to merge the two. And I think it's one of the most fun parts of the business.
Sure, I can see that, like designing and thinking about those things. People think like, you know, that doesn't play, you know, like don't give things like that enough credit. It's like, well, concept is like a big part of it.
Oh yeah, it's huge. You know, I mean, like I don't even know why I made a shoe, but I was like, I don't know, I just feel like that's necessary. I just wanted to do a graphical thing with the shoe and make a BRS shoe. So like, yeah, all of our merchandise, and even like, people probably don't remember, but like the very first website that we had, it was like very, very dark and almost like science fiction, like, you know, and we only had to move away from it because it was really hard to to maintain and kind of not user friendly. But it was more of like a graphic novel than it was a website.
Right.
You know? I should show pictures, because now at this point it's like probably more than 9 years old, but I should show some pictures.
A little maybe.
Yeah. It looked like a comic book, though. It looked way more like a comic book than it did
that's
on
cool.
the website. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool, though. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you still like Balisongs? Is it like a love-hate thing? I mean, because now that you're so into the business, you made some comment like, oh, to me, like, so I think I was watching your Archangel content, and I was like, oh, I really enjoyed that. You're like, and you said, oh yeah, I can't remember how you worded it, but it makes me remember the old days when I used to like doing, you know, like it gets hard to stay up on it, I guess is what I'm asking.
It really does. I think what I said was I miss the days when it was just a hobby, and what I meant with
that's what it was.
By that was like, yeah, I used to wake up in the morning and be like, I'm gonna do an Archangel review. I'm gonna review this knife, and like the Archangel review. Funny enough, it's not too far from where I live. I filmed that along the waterfront in Weehawken, New Jersey, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go by the waterfront and I'm just gonna review it with the city in the background. You know, I just could have fun with it. And I say that because, yeah, it's obviously BRS has become a lot bigger than what it was when it started, you know, when it was just the Alpha Beast. And since then we've formed Revo, and I also have like another completely separate company that I have with a partner of mine, a friend of mine, that does like shipping and stuff, like totally unrelated. So as those businesses all grew, it did become more business focused, and I feel like it took away from my ability to just go out and like have fun. I mean, I guess that's why, like, you know, not to bring up the shoe again, I think that's why I woke up one day. It's like, I don't care what I have to do. I'm just going to do something creative because I haven't done it in a long time. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm like,
that it gets hard to, you know, because you deal with the business side of things and running stuff, or skepticism. Skepticism is something that's really, when people, you know, when you have to start dealing with like customer service, like complaints, or people like wanting something better than the last time, or it wasn't good enough.
Yeah,
it's tough to me.
You get held to a different standard as you get bigger, as you should. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong in that. I want to be held to a higher standard. I hold myself to a higher standard each and every day, right?
Sure, yeah.
But like I remember it was actually after Blade Show. I did Blade Show, and then I had to do Outdoor Retailer, which was another like show for Revo, and it was back to back. Like I went to Atlanta, and then I came back for like 2 days, and I flew to Colorado. And I just came back from Colorado again. So I was saying to I don't even remember who it was. I think it was my partner Thomas in Revo, but I was like, you know, there's a point that I realized that I was at Blade Show, and there was almost like no knife that you could show me. Like, you know, when we started the conversation and I talked about the SOG winder, and it was just like the most mind-blowing thing. And then when I got back into knives, every time I ordered a knife that I was going to review or use for myself, it was, you know, just the biggest thing. Like getting that mail call, opening it up and feeling that excitement, and like carrying in my pocket, and, you know, having my drawer of knives. Oh, which one am I going to carry today? It's hard to get that now, you know, like I don't know if I can recreate that for myself, just because I'm like almost drowning in different products. And for me, it's about like when I open up a box, it's not like, it is the excitement if it's like a new project, but along with that is more like the anxiety of, okay, let me make sure the QC is right. Let me make sure the anodizing is right. Let me make sure, like, you know, I don't know. It's more like it's completely focused on the consumer experience rather than my own.
Right.
And I think because of that, it's hard to have anything for yourself, because it's not just about me now, right? It's about the company. It's about the customer. It's about the community. So yeah, I guess that's really what I meant by it. I wish sometimes I could just go back, and I always tell myself, well, I'm just going to do like a knife review or some kind of video, and I mean it. I do want to do that, but I just have not had the time to sit down and get back to my roots.
Sure, yeah. Well, they're there. I mean, you did a lot of great content, so it's fun for that you gave it to everybody else. So, you know, I got just the other day I was going through a bunch of your old stuff and enjoying watching it. So that's kind of the cool thing, is when you do something like that, it lives on beyond you. So
yeah, that's crazy, because I appreciate that. And I saw one of my, I don't even know why it came up. You know, like sometimes Google will bring up like old videos and stuff. I brought back like an old video, and it was like, I think it was the first one, or one of my first ones, of me flipping the Kimara, and like I almost didn't even recognize myself. It was like, it was crazy.
Crazy. So do you collect knives still? I mean, or do you is it more like, as you go through projects you keep some? Do you have a collection right now that you
I do, yeah. No, I still have stuff. You know, I actually brought a couple of things that I have. I have like my Bali ballistic. You know, this was my first and only custom that I've ever ordered. And this is the first time I've taken it out in a very long time. I remember reviewing this knife, but this was like the only time I chased after like a grail, and I got it, and I waited patiently for, I think, almost like 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And it was made to my spec. Like I got to pick out the color and the blade shape and all that stuff. That was really cool. So I do still have this. And then I have this titanium Basilisk, and my original G10 Basilisk from Jerry Hom. Still have these two. Are like, I really like these because Jerry, when I saw what he was doing with the Basilisk at the time, I was like, man, that's so cool. Like, you can pick out your scale color and your like he had a couple other options. It wasn't a ton of options, but he was like the first small niche brand butterfly knife maker or manufacturer at that time when we were up and coming. And I just loved the beefiness and the overbuilt look of the knife. So he did this one. I got this one, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. I did that, like that fake pharmaceutical type commercial with this thing, and then in a review. And then when he did the titanium version, I was like, man, that's so cool. And I also have.
Did that inspire the rep in a way to start using G10 handles? I mean, other Balisongs have done that before, but I mean,
the replicant is a little bit different in the way, like the Alpha Beast was kind of, you took a little bit of everything, you made that knife. And then the replicant was like, let's do something that could be a little bit more nice, a little bit more customizable, have a lot of different color palettes. I mean, that's awesome. It's you know, every time I do Blade Show, man, people show me the replicants. There's like, it's hard to find a stock replicant, actually. Everyone mods it.
So fun to
you know what I mean?
You know?
Yeah.
That's one of my questions here, actually, because I've taken apart and reassembled mine, and everybody seems to have their own little tricks, and I have my own method of like taking these apart and putting them back together, and I've gotten somewhat fast and successful at it, but it's still a freaking process every time to sit down, and you know, you have to dedicate some time to work on these. Do you have a trick that you do or anything, or do you just get in there and take them apart?
I think so. I have a confession about that. I've never taken apart a replicant. Even the first production prototype, I've never disassembled it. The only thing I've probably done is tighten the pivot screws. I took apart, the only knife I took apart of ours was the first production AB. I have that one. Actually, Gus has that one too. He used that one to model the big AB. I took that one apart I forget the reason why I did it, but I had it. I just took that one apart, maybe just to clean it up or something like that. One time, actually, I did take apart the channel when I was over in Salt Lake. We were filming with Blade HQ, and when I was over at Eldon Tallies, we wanted to see if the channel AB blade, how it would fit with the sandwich. So we took this one. Actually, I guess I didn't take it apart. Someone else took it apart, put in the sandwich blade just to see if it would work, and it did. Um, but other than that, yeah, I really don't take our stuff apart a lot.
Yeah.
I've never liked a lot of knife maintenance and stuff. So I've always just like blown out with compressed air, lubricated it, and then just kind of wiggled it around.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been my like method of getting my knife maintenance, and because I don't like them like apart too long.
Right. You got a good worst cut story?
It's on YouTube. It actually,
really?
And of course, like a classic flipper. After it happened, I'm like, well, I better get it on camera. I was flipping the my 42 MC, and I went for like kind of like a Y2K aerial, and I went to catch it, and it like braced against my chest, and I went for the catch like full speed. So I basically pressed the blade into my chest like this, and it caught right here in my palm. I still have a scar. You wouldn't see it on camera, but and it went in deep, and the blood just started pooling. And so like a flipper, I got the camera, and if you see it's still on YouTube. If you see the video, I just kind of do this, and there's just blood, like it's like a little ocean of blood just swimming around in my palm. That was one of my worst ones. Another, a Microtech Tachyon. It wasn't like a lot of blood, but I was flipping it, and it caught my my knuckle like this, and it wasn't even that bad. It wasn't that much blood, but for probably over a year, I couldn't bend my middle finger more than like that.
Oh man.
So it must have done something like pretty bad. And after like a whole year, I was able to move it again. And I've got my pinky really bad with the Spyderco. Oh man, how come I can't remember the name? You know, the one that's like all oddly shaped with the curves and stuff. I can't believe I can't remember that. I love that thing, but that thing got my pinky like super bad. I haven't needed stitches yet, but those three cuts, like the ones that you remember, those are the ones I remember. Yeah, those are the ones I remember.
Right.
So, yeah, I haven't thankfully gotten that bad, in a while, but time will tell.
Do you do, so when you do, can we talk about the design a little bit of the knives? Do you do CAD, or do you draw it out and work with somebody in CAD?
Yeah.
How does that go for you guys?
So
and how closely do you work with Ed on them?
We work pretty closely in terms of, so I use Google SketchUp actually. So I'm not trained in CAD or SolidWorks. I'm definitely, that stuff is like pretty, especially SolidWorks is pretty advanced. I definitely admire people who can do that and navigate through that pretty well. But SketchUp will actually allow you to design stuff to the point and to the detail level where you can test and see if everything's working. So you can get the dimensions of everything correct, down to a pretty, like a fraction of an inch, like to the level you need to make sure it works. And essentially I will turn that, the version of SketchUp that I use, you can actually save it as a DXF, which is a 2D CAD file.
Okay. And
I will send that over to Precision Plus, or if in the case of Revo, that would be our partner Thomas. And those guys, right, they're like really skilled in SolidWorks and CAD. They can take that design and make it so that you can actually machine it in a machine. So basically, Ed and I will know hey, you know, we want the balance to be kind of in this area of the handle. We want to weigh about this much. And through communicating that with Travis, he can, you know, SolidWorks can actually tell you, hey, the balance point is here. It's gonna roughly weigh this much. And it's amazing, like when it comes off out of the machine, it's like almost dead on to like exactly how we described it, you know. But that's mainly because he's a super talented machinist and can nail it down like that. And he understands. You're like, I think some people, if you communicate that to them, they don't really get what you're saying. Right. Like you can explain, oh, you know, the center of gravity should be here and it should kind of feel rear biased, or, you know, the point should be a little bit thicker so it's like more floaty. I mean, I don't think most manufacturers would understand that off the rip. You know, he's been doing this a long time.
And does he do the blade as well? Is he doing the blade?
Yeah, he's doing the but we do use like some outside vendors to do like the bevel grinding and obviously like the heat treating. The blade is the hardest part to make a knife, you know, like you gotta get the material, obviously, you gotta water jet or laser cut it, then you need someone to heat treat and and do that bevel grind. Then you have to machine it, obviously, for the pivots and everything, and then you have to finish it. You have to tumble it or coat it, and then you have to final edge and assemble. So there's like, you could have easily 5 or 6 vendors or in-house processes just for the blade. Yeah, and every time you do a different blade, you know, like a kukri or the alt there, you gotta, you know, have a different setup and make sure that that works. Oh, you got all of them, Tonto. You know what's funny is like the Tonto and the original AV blade, man, like people really didn't like those blade shapes when we first introduced them.
Oh, really?
They were not. The AB actually, the AB was pretty well received, the earlier concepts, but the replicant, man, people were like, I don't like that. I don't like the blade. I don't like the handles. No, I think they were very used to traditional, you know. A lot of people were just used to this pattern. They were used to just like slots and a traditional hole pattern. So when we kind of did that,
I agree on this. It's like, it just feels so good to me. It's fun.
Yeah, I love it.
You know, people really like, you know, more that simple because they feel it's like more neutral or something. I like heat up here at the tip. I think I like that pull that it gives.
Yeah, the alt is probably the most neutral. The kukri is probably the most blade heavy, and then the standard, I guess scimitar, whatever you would call it, is it's kind of I guess it's kind of right in the middle of those two.
Yeah.
And our whole concept when designing butterfly knives is to make each knife a different flipping experience, but not so much to the point where you have to completely relearn the knife, right? So if you pick up an AB and you go to a replicant, it'll be different. It'll definitely be a different flipping experience, but you should naturally just kind of be able to pick it up and do what you do with it. That's kind of our goal. And then the different blade shapes are to give you, like, if someone wants a little bit more tip heavy or neutral or somewhere in the middle, you know, that's aside from just the looks, it's also to kind of cater to how somebody wants to flip.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about the other brands you guys are doing, because I sell knives in my shop. Through my distributor, I got the Nomad. I kind of got into some of the other pocket knives you were doing as well. And a lot of people, you know, especially people who are watching this, I'm sure a lot of them know about the other brands you guys are doing too, but a lot of them are only into the Balisongs. Can you and then there at Blade Show, I learned there was a lot of new cool stuff you guys are getting into and doing, and I was very intrigued.
Yeah, so we're doing, there's the Evolve line, which is the higher end import folders. That's been a really fun project because so a lot of those folders we want to make stateside, but it's really hard to find knife manufacturing. And so we decided, okay, well, we've been sitting on these designs for like years. A lot of the stuff you see, we probably have had just shelved in our design folder for, you know, maybe since as early as 2014, you know, like they've just been sitting there. And we tried different avenues of getting it manufactured here. And it just didn't happen. So that's why we decided to go overseas and have those made to our spec. That's Evolve, and that's a branch of BRS. And then Revo is a similar concept, except that we were targeting a more like a broader part of the knife community, making more affordable knives. And a lot of that is largely designed by Thomas Ward. He's one of the partners in Revo, and he's been an industry designer. He's worked for like a lot of different really big brands like Kershaw and you know, Magpul, people like he's like an industry designer. So a lot of that stuff is influenced by him. The great thing about Revo though is we do have our own factory in Colorado. That's actually why I'm there so often, and we're able to make a butterfly knife in-house. Oh. So we've always wanted to make a lower, I mean, I know bare bones was lower 200, but truth is, like with aluminum and bushings and all that stuff, it's still very hard to keep that like in the lower 200s or sub 200. So we're trying to make this at least the base model for 200 or just under 200. But the biggest thing is that we have our own domestic manufacturing. It's our own factory out in Meade, Colorado. So we can now do this as a domestic project, and also potentially folders, automatics, stuff like that. So that's the primary reason why we branched off and did that. It's still going to have, you know, obviously Ed and I are owners of that company, so it's still going to have a ton of, especially with the butterfly knife products, a ton of BRS influence into those products. But with like the industrial design experience of Thomas. So just another way to expand out there.
Made?
That's also with Travis.
Okay.
That's with, yeah.
So
Travis makes
all the different
Replicant, Alpha Bs. That's all with Travis. All what we call like legacy products are with him.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've been wanting to make some completely new stuff with him, but as you know, and I think we talked about the show, it's hard enough just to keep up with the demand of the existing SKUs, you know. So sometimes those projects have to take a back burner just because people are waiting on replicants and bare bones and Alpha Beasts and stuff like that.
You guys have a lot going, man. It's cool. Super.
Yeah.
I love that you're getting into the pocket knives, and like Lucas talked about doing that, I think, or a desire to do a pocket knife someday, you know. So I think a lot of people who make Balisongs, like there is that, like they want to do a pocket knife too. You know, same as Cerrone, who I work closely with. He has all these designs going for pocket knives, but he just hasn't had the time because the demand for the Balisongs are so high. Oh
yeah. It's definitely, and it's a completely different market. It's a completely different community. The building parameters are different as well. So you do kind of have to wear a different hat when you go in that direction. Very different from the butterfly knives from Balisongs.
What about up and coming designs? Anything you want to share with us, or anything?
I don't have images per se, but We do want to do, well, I guess it's not like, it's been announced and everything, but like we are working on the titanium bare bones with a bushing system. I know Ed's been concepting a new kind of from the ground up butterfly knife, but it's definitely all conceptual. So we don't even have like imagery really to share. Otherwise I definitely would.
But you guys,
Our goal would,
you guys are moving forward, still gonna.
oh no, yeah. I mean, if it was up to me, you know, I'd love to release something new every year or two, you know, if I could. But it's hard enough, you know, like I said, just to have sometimes like just for Blade Show, I'm like, I just hope we have enough stuff that everybody wants, you know, that's like the goal, right? But I do think that with manufacturing here in the States, that one thing it will allow us to do is at least like prototype quicker. I mean, one, it'll allow us to make stuff and hopefully keep up with demand, but also develop new projects quicker as well.
Nice. Tell us about your influences. Well, I guess we went over a lot of that. I guess I have here like your homies and your friends that you hang out with. Do you hang out with people that are a Balisong crowd, the people that you flipping and having free time to hang out like that, or is it more family stuff? Or
not? Yeah, no, like nobody that none of my friends. This is kind of common amongst anyone who's into butterfly knives, right? Like for the most part, we're loners in that regard. There's really like our family thinks we're crazy, our friends think we're crazy. Everyone thinks we're crazy. It's only when we go to like a knife meet or blade show that we're like, oh, wow, there's other people who are crazy like me. So that's my story. There's really nobody that I know. And I have friends that might be into knives, but not to the obsessive level that you and I will be at, right? Not to that level. And in terms of like flipping and butterfly knives, no, like I really don't have local friends or family that are like
I saw that
into
video
it like that.
you did where you're hanging out with like Jeff and Joff and Seiji and all that.
Yeah,
it was really cool to see. It
cool.
had that vibe of like you guys are just hanging out. I love that. I love seeing that. So one thing I like about what Clockwork is doing and all those guys, they're making video just hanging out, you know, and it's like, and that's,
I know,
you just want to watch it.
Exactly, because when you see it, you're like, it kind of gives you that feeling of when you do hang out with other flippers or other people who are into knives.
Skate videos or something, you know, where you're
like, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you could tell when you watch like a skate video that they really have a vibe going on and they have like this connection with each other because only they can understand that little niche that they have, right?
And
that little community that they have.
That's the big thing.
Exactly.
They're into it. Yeah. The angles, you know how to like film something like that.
Right.
Once something becomes too big, they start getting a cameraman.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, you know.
Right. That's another thing I really wanted. If I had more time, I'd love to go back and be able to film with people again. That was really fun, doing feature films and just recording and putting it all together and creating that energy and putting all those flippers together. That was like super, super awesome. But yeah, it's tough to the only time I'm around that many people is usually Blade. There are some local people around me, and I should probably make a better effort to get some of the guys together and film. Been to a couple local meets.
So you still flip and stuff, you know? Do you flip every day?
I do. Definitely not not as obsessed as I used to. I used to, when I first got into it, I was probably doing it for hours a day, trying to come up with new stuff, trying to catch it on camera. But you know, back then I was BRS was much smaller. I wasn't even doing like BRS full time. You know, I had a regular job, and I think it was even before I had kids. you know, so I definitely had the time. Now,
Kids will change things.
oh yeah, they'll definitely change things. But now I still do, like, I'll pick up a Balisong, and I'll nail like a combo that I know really well. Like, I'll admit I'm not pushing myself to do something totally new or innovative. I'd love to learn a couple new tricks just to kind of re-spark that energy again. But I'll at least like pick it up and just throw like a little combo just to kind of keep the muscle memory there. And also, you know, anytime we make something and there's a prototype, like there's like I have my specific combo and tricks that I test the knife with, so to speak, and it has to be able to do those things fairly well, or it's kind of a fail, right? Like, it's got to go back to the drawing board and get rebalanced and re-engineered so that I can do those things. So I make sure that I flip often enough that, you know, the testing part I have to relearn. Yeah, because you got to make sure that it's definitely not you, right? That it is actually the knife, right?
It's absolute sense. Do you have favorite tricks that you like, or like, do you have a style of flippers that you like that brings you back, or do you like the new school, like more finger stuff, or what do you like to see?
I really do like the like guys like Evan Red Edge, who are very seamlessly. I always thought that's where flipping was going to go, because power aerials used to be one-offs, right? When Ed used to do them back in the day. Actually, I'm lying, because he did link power aerials, but the way that like Evan does it, it's like just seamless.
Out of this world, man. Talk about blade. It's like from another world.
It's like behind the back, a lot of you know, height and power, but it's smooth and it's technical. It's like, that's where I always kind of saw.
He makes it look like he's doing video editing tricks, like it's not.
Yeah.
Real. And you're like, no, that's really happening.
Yeah, I really like that. But at the same time, I do kind of miss where people would just throw down a spectacular freestyle just with fundamentals, ricochets and twirling and really basic stuff, but make it just look phenomenal. There was I don't know what he does now. There was this guy, a French guy named oh no, it's not Matt Nota. Matt Nota was a French guy, and he kind of like retired early. Oh man, what's his name? I can't believe someone's gonna remember his name. He took like second place in back in the day in FATOC, but he just had rhythm, and he would just like ricochet off his legs, and just, it was all just real simple aerials, a lot of speed, a lot of fluidity. I kind of miss that a little bit, where because nowadays people are like super technical, a lot of choker fans, a lot of finger work, which I think is awesome. I love that stuff too. But I also find it really cool when someone can make the basics look amazing as well. You know, like they do the basics, the fundamentals so well that actually becomes something advanced. You know, I think that's really cool too. And you don't see as much of that nowadays. I think nowadays it's very technical. Like Chase did that.
Like Chase,
that blade roll.
G. What I like about Chase G is he has that old school feeling to him, but he's also doing new fast things as well. He really bridges the gap, you know.
He does actually. He actually, you're right. He actually does rely a lot on rhythm and speed change. Like he'll move his hands kind of slow and then have these really quick motions, and then he'll throw like some technicality in the middle. So he's actually a pretty good mix of like,
and he's doing crazy power aerials, like gnarly ones.
That's true. I guess that's what it is. I like when people they use rhythm, speed change, tempo change, and even body movement to exemplify the art, right? I think that's sometimes lost, right? We're so focused here, but we neglect everything else, right? Because I mean, one thing about Evan, like he just did a video, and he explained the footwork of flipping, and you
Yeah.
would never think like, well, why are you using your,
Stepping
unless you're like
into
flashing,
something, and
yeah,
he's a good teacher.
yeah. Like prior to that, like footwork was like slashing cuts, literally doing a toe catch. You know what I mean? Or someone like Asplo doing like a foot stall. But Evan is actually like using the footwork to manipulate his body and actually adding to the complexity and the
He's talking
dynamic of
about
the
how
combo.
it looks to be filmed on the camera, and like what your arm is doing that's not flipping. Things like that.
Yes,
So it doesn't
that's
just
really
look like
important.
some dead seal over here.
That's my biggest weakness. I used to hate watching my film because I would be flipping and I always had this dead arm that was just doing. It was like just petrified next to me. I'm like, what is that? It looks so bad, and so I actually incorporate like transfers in my flipping sometimes. Just it's not really even for the trick. It's just to make sure this hand is active. Yeah, because if I just focus here, I just stiff arm here, and it looks so horrible. So it is important to get your hands involved. But also, if you're just standing there and you're only here, it still looks a little stagnant. I think head movement, leg movement, foot movement, even your torso, like the more you get that involved, the more the better it looks, the more dynamic your combo. Even though it's not flipping the knife, it's still part of the combo and the freestyle.
It's so funny to watch videos of yourself back flipping and then just like look at the things that you didn't know you were doing in the video. Your facial expressions or whatever. It's just you just like crack yourself up. Oh my god, it's so fun. So funny to do that. But it teaches you kind of how to like make a little bit cooler of a video next time, you know, like.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I was on another podcast a while ago, and they pulled up a clip. It wasn't about flipping. It was a totally different podcast, but they pulled up a video that I guess I posted, so it's my fault. I posted it on Instagram, and it was terrible. Like I dropped the knife, I was stumbling, and then my hand was all frozen. I'm like, oh man, I don't even know why I released that. It was like it was terrible, you know. But that I think is the reason why making videos, feature films, competing is important, because when you do that, you review your own progress, you review your own style, and that's what allows you to develop. Because if you just flip in your room by yourself and you never watch yourself, you kind of assume you're doing something, and you'll never know because you never analyze it or have other people analyze it.
Sure. Do you have other hobbies that you're into?
Yeah, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for probably, I guess, 4 years now. I'm a blue belt. I train pretty regularly, and like I guess it's become enough of a hobby of mine where like Revo and BRS have like sponsored MMA fighters and people who compete in jiu-jitsu tournaments.
Oh, cool.
Boxing. Awesome. You know, I going back on like the whole being creative and bringing your interest into the knife world and whatever you're passionate about. It's the same thing. Like I feel passionate about the knife company, so I actually bring it into other things that I'm into. So
I could easily see some BRS MMA gloves.
I have a BRS. I made it for the last school I was at. They were called Lionheart, and I made a rash guard for my professor and one of his fighters, and it was really cool. I never made one for myself even, but it was like a lion, and he had the alpha beast in his mouth, and it was pretty badass. I'm actually working on one. Or I want to work on a rash guard and a gi for the school I'm at now, Roll Start. where it incorporates like the Revo and or BRS design. On my gi now, I actually have the BRS chevron on the back, so it's pretty cool.
Nice.
And like we've done some tournaments, in-house tournaments where like the prizes are like Revo knives instead of like metals. You get like a knife.
Oh, nice.
So and they're like engraved with like the school's logo and stuff. So to me, it's one of the cool parts of the business. I can integrate it into my other hobbies and integrate my hobbies into the business as well. I love doing that. I love just like collaborating and trying to find creative, mixing like jujitsu with butterfly knives, like some weird connection. I'm like, I'll find a way to mishmash and make it work.
Are you guys going to be at Blade West?
Yeah, we are. I just booked my tickets for it. They just sent out all the exhibitor material today actually. So we're getting all our stuff ready, and we're gonna be there. We're gonna be there as Bladerunners, Revo, and Volt Case, the knife case company that we have as well, a little sister brand shoot off of BRS. So we'll have 3 booths representing those 3 companies.
Nice. Let's see. Any pets?
No pet. Well, my sons wanted a fish, so I guess now I technically have fish, but no dog, no cat. I'm allergic to like pet fur, so I don't do well with like fur and stuff like that. It makes me like all wheezy and stuff like that. So no pets.
This is a weird, I don't know if it's weird, but do you cook at home? I don't know why. I picture you like in the kitchen.
I used to more. I actually try to get my sons involved in cooking, and so I can kind of cook. I'm not the best, but I can do decent. Like I definitely not like Gordon Ramsay or anything, but I can do okay.
I have
definitely
this vision.
do okay.
You
I'm
your own garden, you pick your own things, and I don't know why, but
I wish, but
when I wrote down the question, I was like, I wonder if he cooks at home, because I was like, what food does he like?
Yeah, I do sometimes, but not that frequently, so and I will say though that when I prepare food, I do try to use one of our knives, which is actually not a good idea because it's definitely not the ideal kitchen knife all the time. But the worst part of it is if you use like a good knife that you like, it's going to end up in the sink somewhere because non-knife people will like throw that thing in a dishwasher or just leave it at the bottom of the sink. So I learned my lesson. If you have like a folder you like, don't leave it in the kitchen because it's going to end up at the bottom of the sink. I think my paramilitary too ended up there. So with all the gunk and everything, so it's no good.
So how do you deal with like criticism or people who are like talking about quality control or write in and they're upset about? I mean, we have a very like opinionated community of flippers here that like to voice their opinions and their dissatisfactions and their happiness. They're stoked on stuff, and then the next second somebody's hating on.
Well, I'm not against. I think the only thing that I would request or maybe I guess expect is that it's constructive, right? Because everyone makes mistakes. We're not a perfect company. I'm sure there's been knives that have left and had an issue, right? But I don't get too hung up on it because at the end of the day, we own up to the mistakes that we make. We've always stood by our warranty. I don't think anyone's ever had, as far as I know, like an experience with our warranty department where we refused to fix something or didn't want to fix their knife. I think I don't get too hung up on the criticism only because I know at the end of the day, we put forth our best effort, right? And we really, really have the best intentions for the community, our customers. I take a lot of pride in the brand, and this is my dream. Like this isn't just like a company. This is something that I didn't even think I could ever do full time. I dreamed of it, right? Like I used to work in an office in a cubicle, and I was like, man, what if one day I could just do knives all day? I mean, it would be freaking awesome. And I've been able to do that, and that's because of the customer base that we have. That's because of the community that we have. And so I would never want to do the people that got me here a disservice. So when I hear criticism and comments, I take it to heart. Not in a way where like it bothers me, or like I take it like offensively, but I'm like, oh, okay, that's something we have to improve on. I consider it. And you'll have detractors. You might have people who you can kind of tell they might just be saying it just to say it, but that happens. I mean, everyone gets that, and that stuff doesn't really get to me. And in any ways, like
with mine, I always love mine. People will be like, oh, this rep has that. Most every you tune, these, we throw these around. They're meant to be tuned, and you have to take care of them.
Yeah.
The general maintenance that goes along with them, so a lot of variables for things to become loose or whatever. It's not.
Like we're not. I don't think there's a perfect company. It's more about what do you do when things do go wrong, right? Do you deny it? Do you give them a hard time? Or do you just own up to it, fix it the best way you can? And I think that's that's definitely what Travis has done, and the way we've handled it. Like I would rather go above and beyond and give that customer absolute confidence in our brand, than what, to like save $50. Like that's not worth it to me.
Right.
I want to hear from every customer that I love your product. I own multiple ones of your products. I love the BRS experience. That's what I want for everyone, right? So it's just not worth it to me or Ed or Travis, to save $100, $50, not give someone some screws. It just doesn't make sense. Like I've never believed in that. As a customer, I want that confidence in the brand that I invest in, and I want to give the same thing to our customers as well.
Awesome. Cool. Well, let's take some questions here, man. Anybody who wants to write in with a question, we'll do a little Q&A now with some viewers. But man, I really appreciate you spending some time here and talking about things.
Oh yeah, and I forgot to even thank you. Yeah, I know, and I thank you for having me. I know we kind of got to that's my fault. I have to confess that I was like waiting to see the thing, and I don't know what I did wrong. And my wife's downstairs, and I was like, hey babe, we're running late. And she's like, no, you're running late. I'm on the thing. They're waiting for you. So that's what, so she saved my ass. And but I wanted to actually start by thanking you for having me on, and thanking you, and just saying it's awesome that you're creating consistent content. It's really, really important for the knife community, but more importantly, like the butterfly knife community, having these conversations, talking about flippers, is awesome. It's something that Ed and I have wanted to spend more time on, just kind of shouting out people. And I wish I could shout out everyone that everyone's actually gonna get a shout out pretty soon. I've compiled some list of competitive data and community votes on flippers and stuff. So that's actually up and coming. So there's gonna be a lot of people getting shout out. But I like what you're doing, and I hope that you continue to do it, and the community continues to support it, because it's good stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, the shout out question I didn't give to you because I was like, God, he's probably gonna have a list that's like this long of people he has to thank, you know.
I literally have a list of that is this long. I really do. In terms of flippers and just kind of shouting them out, and not just from me, but from the community.
Right.
So that's up and coming. You know.
Yeah. I mean, you have a pretty strong, you've now with your sponsorships have gone like a generations of like people coming and going as sponsored flippers. You know, some people like they have a new brand and these are the first time they have this group of flippers, but you've seen people come and go now to BRS, you know, like Narda, it's not as much, you know, like flipping as much as that.
And they're always like, all those people are always team BRS. I mean, for different reasons, people get busy with family, careers,
Exactly, yeah.
Travel, you know, stuff like that. It's not like we call them up one day, we're like, you're off, you know, we don't do that.
Yeah, they're friends.
Yeah, they're always team BRS. We still send them swag and stuff like that. And we still talk to them, pretty regularly. And we still want them to rep the brand. I just think that some people, I mean, myself included, right? Like I'm definitely not as active, you know. So I don't even.
They get into another thing, or they have a kid, or they get a
and that's fine. But I still consider them part of the community, and I still, if they were sponsored, they're still technically, like, I don't think we never really stopped sponsorship on anyone. They're always part of Team BRS. There's obviously some incentives, you know, like people win knives and stuff like that for Bolicomp and stuff. So in the beginning, but you know, if they go off and do other things, there's no problem. You know, that's just life. You know, that's me. You know, like I'm a good example of that actually. So.
Any questions out there? Anybody? I don't know if everybody heard it, but anybody who wants to ask anything. So yeah, did you see? You saw this one. I sent you a clip of it. The one of the milled out by hammer. Tell us about how you.
Yeah.
Like you have DCB do stuff. You have all these different people do things. Looks like there's Ed on there. Just joined. Or he's been on. I don't know, but.
We actually haven't done a mutant in a while. We're overdue for a mutant. I want to get that going again. I think that's just a matter of one, having enough product to do it with, and the timing of it all, and then two, just, you know, hand selecting some more people to get on that. It's those are fun, and again, collaborating with the community, that's the best part. So there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of new talent out there now. So I would love to get that going again, for sure.
Chubby was asking, how did you and Ed meet? That was actually on my list of questions. I don't believe I didn't ask it, but
we met through the forums, specifically the flipping arena. He was pretty actively competing, and I was pretty actively competing. He saw the videos that I was doing. He was like, oh wow, you know, he's actually doing videos at a different pace and level that some of the ones are being done on YouTube. And so he's like, you have the ability to kind of create a culture and showcase things via video. You have a talent there, and I want to reach out to a big knife company, and at the time that was Kershaw, and propose an idea. And so it's kind of an inside joke, but it's kind of not a joke. But to this day, I still don't know how he got my phone number. He literally just called me. I was in the car. I still remember I was on the passenger side of the car. My phone rang. I answered, and he was like, hey, it's me. And I'm like, what? Like, who's me? And then I talked to him for a bit. It was like one of those scenarios where I'm like, I don't want to be rude and pretend like I don't know who this guy is. So I just kind of kept talking, and then through context, I was like, oh, it's Lucifer off of the arena. And then that's how we met. And after the first mid-tex came out, I actually took a bus. It was the worst bus ride ever. Like, it took 16 hours, like twice as long as it was supposed to. I took a bus to Maine. He had to pick me up at like 3 in the morning because the bus missed a stop and everything. But that was the first time that we met in person. It was probably like a year after we had actually, over a year since we had been working on that project.
Wow.
But that's how we met. Yeah.
Then somebody asked what you think of aftermarket parts, like people that are.
I'm okay with it. I think the modding community is actually kind of what keeps things cool and fresh. Like all the reps you just showed me and all the modified reps that I see at Blade Show are really, really cool. We obviously just came out with some. Yeah,
you have to buy one
I
in
think
the
it's
first place. I'm saying and then get to
yeah,
mod.
yeah. No, I'm all for it. I think that I think it's all good. We're coming up with some of our own barrel spacers and stuff. We used to have kind of an aftermarket. Palatheus used to do it. He used to do the mod one, like the mod packs and stuff for the replicant and AB. He used to modify the custom shop. But you know, his business kind of took off, so he didn't really have the bandwidth to do it anymore. But at the time, that was really cool. We actually had our own aftermarket division for, I guess that was about a year or two. It was pretty cool, man. I kind of missed working with him on that. That was a fun project. But truth be told, the stuff he was doing was pretty complex. It was not like overnight, just let me add a couple things here. Like the level of work that he did was pretty intense, so it was hard for him to keep up with that and make his own custom stuff. But I think mods are what keeps it interesting and what gives every BRS product its own little story. So I think it's cool.
What do you think of Star Tavern Pizza? I bet that's like, my guess is that's like your wife saying, "Let's go eat" or something.
What?
Do you know Star Pizza?
I don't know Star Tavern. I don't know where that is. I wonder if I've
I don't know. Somebody
that's
asked,
something
"Do you like Star Tavern Pizza?" So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if I've had it. I've had a lot of pizza in Jersey and New York, so I'm sure it's good if it's from Jersey or New York.
What about favorite trick, and new or old?
Favorite trick and what's new?
Favorite
What?
trick, a new one and an old one.
Oh, favorite trick, new and old. So I still really like reverse stuff just because when you pull it off, it's very gratifying. So that'd probably be new. As far as old, man, I guess it's not a trick, but kind of what we talked about before. People who can like twirl and ricochet in a way that's like so stylistic that in and of itself is a trick. Like I miss that. I like that. As far as old school, it's probably my favorite.
Like having a style. So many people, it's good when you have your own individual style.
Yeah, exactly.
So Indiana John meant more like re-blades and re-handles. How do you feel about that?
Kind of the same way I feel about mods. I've seen some pretty cool stuff, especially with the replicant. People have done some pretty awesome like Tonto regrinds, and I've seen some pretty cool stuff with the AB as well. But I've always been for taking a product and then kind of telling your own story on it and making it custom to you. I'm a big car guy, and so I see what people do with their cars. They they put like bigger turbos and intakes and downpipes and exhausts and all kinds of like they tune it and stuff like that. I'm like, that's cool because you take something that you're passionate about and you kind of make it your own. You make it to your own spec and you tell your own story with it. And I see it's the same thing with knives.
Yeah.
You take your baseline. I'm like a guy who likes to keep things pretty stock, but when I see people do that, I'm like, that's kind of cool. You know, you're taking something and making it individual to your own liking and to your own style.
That's cool.
So I'm not against that.
What's the last movie you actually were excited about seeing?
Excited about seeing. I like all the Marvel stuff. Probably like Spider-Man. No Way Home I was pretty excited about that. I'm like a kind of like a child when it comes to like movies and stuff. I like I'm more into it than my kids are. I'll go to my kids and be like, "Hey, you want to watch Spider-Man?" And they're like, I guess. I'm like, what do you mean you guess? Come on, let's go. You know, I'm wanting them to go just so I have an excuse to go. But that was good. But I don't know, like some of the other later Marvel movies as of late have not really excited me quite as much. But I'm trying to think of some other things
I
that I
kind of
was
want
like
to see
super
the new
excited.
Predator. It looks stupid, but I still kind of want to see it.
I actually might watch some of that on Hulu, right? I might watch that tonight actually. I was thinking
Yeah,
about that.
I was thinking.
I saw Top Gun. I was excited about that, and that lived up to my expectations.
Which
That
one?
was really good.
Which one?
Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, okay.
The yeah, the latest Top Gun. That
Okay.
was cool. I like that one. That was definitely good
Was there really a
for
new
sure.
Top Gun?
Yeah, that was it was supposed to come out in 2020 and
Oh,
they
really?
delayed it because they really wanted a theater release and yeah, it was a thing and it actually was really good
I
in my
thought you were
opinion.
half
If
joking.
you
I'm
gotta
like,
like
wait, is he
action.
serious?
Yeah,
What about, yeah, the Gray Man has a Balisong scene, and I saw that recently.
I
Gray.
saw that. Yes. Yeah. That was cool. The Gray Man was good.
Prometheus,
I
yeah, that
like
was
just
good.
uh that was good for I like all the Alien franchise movies. Like it's pretty much I'll watch it. I can Predator, Alien, anything like that, I'm definitely gonna
The
watch. It's
new
just
Blade Runner, the new Blade Runner, man, I was really worried. I was like, oh shit, they're doing a new Blade Runner. And I was like, I'm like, then I read Jared Leto was in it. I'm like, this is going to be horrible. And I was just like, and I was blown away. It was actually really done,
very
really
good.
good.
Yeah,
Really like it. And
really
it made me
well.
actually like
Yeah.
Jared Leto a little more. But,
Yeah.
um, I'm
Yeah.
but yeah, it was really well done. I thought it was really good. The cinematography was awesome. The story was good. The soundtrack was killer. Totally.
Yeah.
I still like the original more, but I thought it was really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked it a lot. I'm not like super critical when it comes to movie. I know some people are like, oh, it deviated from the comic book, it deviated from this, they added that. I'm like, look, at the end of the day, if I was fairly entertained and the cinematography was good and stuff, I'm pretty happy. I'm not like as critical, I guess, as I used to be. So, and that's been good because for the most part, almost any movie experience for me is going to be a good time. It's got to be a pretty bad movie for me to like just
Yeah,
not
I'm
have a
pretty
good time
easy
at
with
all.
movies unless it's just really not good. But movies to me, I'm going to have a good time and I want to enjoy it, even if it's kind of shitty. I still want to enjoy it. Thoughts
Yeah.
on cloning, the companies that are cloning your Balisong?
Well, me personally, and I've been pretty explicit about this via comments, via maybe YouTube videos. I'm not really sure. Like I can't even remember my own videos at this point. But no, I did one actually. I did do one. Someone gave me a 42 clone. That's actually one of my biggest videos on YouTube. Someone gave me a 42 clone, and then I think I compared it against my actual 42 MC. And in that video, I was pretty clear about the fact that I didn't support clones. And that's coming from someone who's owns when you own your own brand and you work that hard because it is not easy to make a knife. It's a nightmare sometimes. It's really hard. And then when you see somebody go and kind of just jump on your idea and do exactly what you did and essentially rip you off with no type of permission, with no type of credit, with no type any. It's just a money grab. from an owner's perspective, from the perspective of someone who's put in literally blood, sweat, and tears into making that thing, it hurts, you know, like I just don't, I don't support it. I really don't. And a lot of people have argued with me on that. They're like, well, what if you can't afford it? What if you know, you're still going to make money anyway? And to me, I guess I look at it at a very fundamental level. I'm like, look, at the end of the day, you're stealing our idea. That's our idea. We put in the work to make that thing extremely, you know, marketable. We put in this blood, sweat, and tears engineering it, and you're coming in at the last minute and just taking that for yourself. It's theft at the end of the day, right? That's what it is, and I'll never call it something different.
Like seeing the new tsunami, I was like, they just put Squid Industries right across all along the blade, you know? It's
yeah, they've taken our product. They even copied our box. They even copied our business card. It's crazy. I'm like, yeah, that's yeah. It's really it's low. Now look, if you like, do I judge the person who bought it? Like, do I hate like if someone bought a AB clone or a clone of anything? What do I think they're a horrible? No, I'm not. I guess I don't like. I don't have like incredibly ill will towards someone who might own something like that. I get it. Like, it happens, right? People have their reasons and I don't think that just because they buy a clone that they hate you, right? I don't take that personal. My disapproval is really more towards the person actually cloning it. Maybe. Right? Like the actual people involved in cloning it, selling it, and profiting off of someone else's hard work. And again, like, if you ever go through that process and you've literally, that's your livelihood, that's your life, right? You dedicated your life to that idea, and then someone comes and just takes it after you've done the hard work and profits off of it, you'll feel differently. Trust me. I know people will argue it, you know, left and right, but I'm like, go do it and have it happen to you. I guarantee you'll change your mind. I guarantee it. Yeah.
And as you've gone through life, you know, I'm a bit older. I've had those kinds of experience where you work really hard on something, whether it's anything, not just a knife, but anything that you work really hard on, and then someone comes in at the last minute and goes, oh, I'll complete the job, or I'll do this, and takes the money, and you're like, wait, you know, I just put in twice as much work as you, or whatever, and you're suddenly like in there, and but you know, shit, it's hard to stop those things, you know.
Yeah, it's hard to stop. We've had a little bit of success on I guess it's like AliExpress or whatever. They're actually pretty good about trademark registry and you reporting it and stuff like that. They will actually take down listings, or if you see someone promoting a clone of your product on YouTube and stuff, YouTube is fairly good about removing it. The only problem is like you could remove 100 of those videos, 100 of those listings, and guess what? The next day there's just going to be a list 100 more. So it's hard to keep up with. So I don't know if it necessarily impacts sales. I think people who buy our products genuinely want to be a part of the BRS story. They want a genuine BRS experience, a genuine BRS product with a real BRS warranty, right? They want to be part of that experience, and that's the same way for me. Like I'm really into watches. I'm really into you know, I like supporting other makers' knives. I would never buy a clone because to me, I'm like, I want to support the brand that I like. I want to support the maker that I admire. I want them to win. I want them to support them. I want them to have 100% of my support. Not just it's more than just like the knife, right? To me, it's like, no, I want to be a part of his journey, his or her journey. I want to be a part of that brand's journey. So that's really how you do it. You support the brand, right? And so the people who are buying the clones, I don't think they ever really wanted to be part of that journey to begin with, right? They were probably never going to be my customer anyway. So from that respect, I'm not too worried about it. It's not so much monetary, you know. It's more just like, man, like, go do your own thing, man. Be original, like, work hard.
Ed
don't
just brought up
steal,
the
don't rip
watch
someone
that you
off.
guys made. Watches like Rolexes, fake Rolexes, those are made, it's like same kind of deal. But yeah, what about your
Yeah.
watch? Tell people about the watch you guys are making or made. Or
That was primarily Ed and I are big watch guys. I have like probably 20 watches behind me here. And so it's always been a dream of ours to create a watch. Again, it's just a passion, and then to be part of the creative process within your passion is like it's freaking awesome, you know. So he did some exploring in finding people who could manufacture, and Ed himself actually is like a really talented watch modder. He can like he built me one. I don't even know if I think I have it here, but he built me this one. You know, he got a case, the crystal, the movement, the hands, everything, the bracelet, and he completely put that together himself, which is really hard to do. Like I've seen videos of people constructing modified watches, and it's a lot of work. And so he actually pretty intimately knows ins and outs of watches. I just like them, you know, for what they are. I don't really know them, the engineering part of it. So he found a good manufacturer, and then we pretty much picked like everything to our spec and put it under the Evolve brand, and it was pretty well received. It's a pretty awesome watch. I wear mine, you know, almost every day, and again, it's awesome, you know, to be part of the creative process of something that you're passionate about.
I watched a YouTube video the other night that was like 2 hours long, and it was of a guy taking apart a watch piece by piece, cleaning the whole thing and getting it working again. And
Yeah. I saw. Yeah.
It's like, I don't even watch that ever, and all of a sudden I was
no,
like,
it's really complex. It's not just like
oh, it's
dropping
crazy.
stuff in and then no, yeah.
These really little
You gotta
parts and
yeah, you need to wear like magnifying glasses and get into. I mean, it's. I don't have the patience for it. You know,
this guy was
it's pretty,
fixing a Rolex that was sent to Rolex in Switzerland, and they couldn't fix it. So somebody sent it to him, and he fixed it.
Yeah. No, there's people who do that for a living, and they're really talented. So the watch project again is just it's another thing, right? Like we're like, oh, what if you could have a watch with this feature, and this feature, and have it have a little bit of the Evolve look, and have our own laser engraved logo with the samurai thing on the back of it, and have the whole unboxing experience like represent what we've done with the knives and everything. You know, it's like it's awesome, like to be able to create.
I need to look at those.
I could never clone.
That's cool.
No, yeah, we could, when we have more, we could send you one to check out and everything.
Sure.
But that's the other thing. Like I could never clone someone's work because I love to create, you know, I love to be original, and I love to come up with my own ideas and try to make them into reality. So I could never just take something that was already in existence. When I design a knife, a watch, a folding knife, right? I go on the internet and I look at all the knives that are kind of relevant to what I'm trying to design. And I'm not doing it necessarily to get influence on making it like that. I'm actually seeing what's out there. I'm like, okay, that's what I don't want to look like.
Right.
I don't want to look like that. It's like reverse inspiration. There's certain things that inspire me. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. And I kind of like this, you know, how I made the Alpha Beast. I did take things that I liked, but at the end of the day, I'm really saying I can't look like any of this. I have to be as original as possible. I mean, at the end of the day, a knife's a knife, so things are going to look somewhat similar, but I want to stand out and you know, be original as I can be. So
what's your thoughts on an event that would be more about skill toys or focused on like Balisongs, kendama, yo-yo, instead of like a Blade Show West? Somebody's asking that. Would you guys be into that?
That's a good idea, actually. I think that's a really good idea. Like to have a like a skill. I don't know if skill toy is the best word for it, but I know what you mean. Yeah, something that's like would merge all those alternative arts and you know, I don't know, devices. I don't know what you would call it. You'd have to come with a clever name, but every one of those arts exists on its own plane right now. Kendema has its own thing. Yo-Yo has its own thing.
Wait, don't they have that already? It's called Burning Man.
Nah, right? Yeah, you're right. That is kind of a mix of like everything, DJs and yeah, like breathing fire and yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea. I mean, one thing we are trying to do is get more, at the very least, more butterfly knife events and competitions. It's just been kind of hard to like travel as much as necessary to get it all done. But like I said, we're trying to do more remotely and trying to do more live if we can. So that would be awesome. More of that is, in my opinion, always great for the community.
Bollies are a skill. Somebody's saying about skill toys. I think bollies are somewhat of a skill toy. I mean, when you have it in a trainer, it's like a fidget skill toy. I don't know.
I guess so. I guess like it's just tricky to call it a toy because of the consequences of making a mistake. You can get cut pretty bad.
Sure.
So when you say toy, I'm not saying it's like disrespectful or whatever to Balisong, but you know, at the end of the day, like
I mean,
this can send you to a hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's the only reason why I'm like, I don't know if toy is the most appropriate.
Yeah, you're right.
Name
I get
for
exactly what you're saying. Yeah, it's
like a toy you can give to a kid. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, somebody's saying here that the average kendama person might have more in common with a flipper than say somebody at Blade Show, which that could be true. Where people, you know,
I would agree with that.
Kendama.
I would agree with that.
There's a real relationship there of like.
Yeah.
There's so much
crossover. And I don't. There's a lot of people who flip Balisongs and they're also into yo-yo or kendama or other skill toy type of things just because it has that fidget factor, you know. So
or cars or music or whatever. Watches.
Yeah.
Pocket knife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Flow arts. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What's up, Nick? How you doing, buddy? Yeah, not really a toy. Sorry, I'm going through some of the questions here. Anyways, I think that's good. Man, thank you guys all for watching, and thank you for being a part of this and doing the interview. It's super cool to hang out here and chat and just kind of get some of the stories, some of the things I never even knew, you know, about the origins of things and why you guys do what you do. But I'm glad that you guys are still moving forward and gonna make more. And,
again, thanks for having me on the on this you know, involving me with your content, and keep it up, man. If you ever want like more information on BRS and stuff like that, just for your own content's sake, let me know. And yeah, I also appreciate everybody who's tuned in, and I hope it was entertaining and informative.
For sure.
I love engaging the community, and I know like sometimes I don't get to do enough of it, and that's really the best part for me about Blade Show and the trade shows is I actually do get to engage with the community. And so I appreciate you including me in this so I can engage with them and yourself.
I've always said I'll keep doing this till it's not fun. You know, I still have fun. You know, I get excited to do these. I'm only doing this because I'm curious about the makers, you know, and how they do it. You know?
Yeah.
But how it started was honestly just being curious and going like, no. And then let's do an interview with somebody, and then it just kept evolving. You know, now it's weekly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, keep it up, man. Keep it up.
Yeah, real honor to have you on here, and appreciate everybody for watching. This is Damn Right I Got Knives. Adios, amigos. Have a great day, great evening. That sun is, look at that, just blasting in my face. That curtain.
All right.
With me this whole show. All right, you
Take care, guys.
See ya.
Bye.